October the 30th, moths. Moth numbers drop dramatically in October, so much so that many lepidopterists put away their moth traps for the rest of the year. However, there are still moths to be seen, especially around lights or resting on window panes. Others seek sanctuary on fallen fruit, overripe blackberries, or ivy flowers. Here they can still get the energy-giving sugar they need to keep flying. One benefit of the falling temperatures is that the moths we do see seem far less easily disturbed and less likely to fly away. This makes October a good month to examine them more carefully and the intricate patterns on their wings, all of which come alive with the aid of a magnifying glass. Nearly all the largest and most flamboyant moths have now come to the end of their flight period. It is still possible to see certain hawk moths, for example privet, convolvulus and hummingbird, but most of the moths we see now are the significantly less colourful noctuids and geometers. Noctuids are predominantly brown and grey in colour, rather on the stout side, and with longer than usual wings that allow them to fly both fast and strongly. Certain species, such as the silver white, we are used to seeing throughout the rest of the year. One advantage of their typical camouflage colours and patterns is that they seem to instantly disappear at the moment they land. On landing, they quickly fold their forewings together, hiding any lighter coloured hindwings beneath. One wing usually also slightly overlaps the other, giving the impression to some of a medieval cape.
Although they tend to be grey, the range of greys is astonishing. For example, ash grey, slate grey, lead, battleship, elephant, etc. Similarly, the browns can range from straw and chestnut to date clay, datum clay, and many other shades. There are even a small number of orange and yellow species, and one or two that are faintly green.
When it comes to the patterns on the wings, there are dots, dashes, lines, and zigzags, as well as waves, veins, and various ring markings. In some of the species we see a lot. There are often silver or gold markings, which look not unlike some vague characters of an unknown alphabet. Kidney-shaped markings on their wings is also another typical feature. These are usually just below the center of the resting wing and often stand out due to their lighter colored borders. Nearly all of the many underwings we see so far are noctuids, yet it is only the pearly and the lunar underwing we are likely to encounter this month. The pearly underwing is an uncommon migrant, but the lunar underwing is still quite likely to be caught in a moth trap. Specimens of the latter have prominent ringed eyes on their wings and are usually dark grey or brown, but occasionally slightly purple. There are also still one or two rustics, Quakers, and chestnuts around. Among the rustics, the flounced, rosy, and black rustic are the most likely. The thick-set flounced rustic tends to inhabit chalky areas and only flies at the beginning of the month, whereas the rosy rustic is much more widespread and is present most of the month. It has more lines on its wings and more prominent eyes, and although typically brown, is occasionally tinged with purple. The black rustic is almost sooty in appearance. It was once rare, but is now a common sight in South London. Two Quakers that might be seen are the red and yellow line Quakers. Both have lines across their wings, as you might expect. In the former, it is a distinct reddish-brown line, and in the latter, a much less distinct line, which is set across its tawny yellow wings. Both have noticeable black dots inside their kidney markings. The most likely chestnut to be seen is the beaded chestnut. This moth is highly variable, with varying amounts of brown, red, white, grey, and yellow. For this reason, it could be easily confused with many other noctuids. Yet its highly distinctive darker dots and splashes usually give it away, whatever the colour it is. It is the sallows and thorns that tend to be more yellow or orange. The barred and pink-barred sallows are still flying. The barred sallow is a bright orange-yellow and keeps to chalky areas, whereas especially where beech is growing, and the pink-barred has softer oranges and yellows and prefers areas of willow. Another yellow moth, which is instantly recognizable, is the large thorn, mainly because of the jagged edges of its wings. Its close relation, the feathered thorn, is much browner and only has a wavy edge to its wing. Its feathered antennae, from which it gets its name, also help to identify it. The other large group of moths, other than the noctuids, are the geometers. These are the adults of the familiar looper caterpillars we often see hanging on threads from trees in the spring. They include the thorns just mentioned, as well as the carpets. Among the carpets, the small grey pine carpet and the juniper carpet could be seen, but only in suitable habitats. The former prefers spruces and firs, and so is more likely to inhabit gardens planted with ornamental conifers. The caterpillars of the latter feed on wild juniper, which has all but disappeared on the North Downs. Consequently, it is now found in gardens where there are endless varieties of nursery-grown junipers. There may also be a possibility of the pale grey common mottled carpet, but only at the start of the month. Any green moth seen this month would be an excitement. The handsome Merveille de Jour may possibly still be flying in some oak woods around the edges of London. The only other green moth that might be seen is likely to be the Green Brindled Crescent, although in London it is usually a much duller brown, melanic form we are likely to encounter. Wherever there is an abundance of certain food plants, it may also be worth looking for mallows, where there are hollyhocks, streaks where there is a lot of broom, and vaporers where there are hebes or lycisteria shrubs.